CGC may be king of the hill, but CBCS has one thing over them. Stay tuned as we go over these comics I've got back from CBCS and find out why it was an easy choice to get these comics graded with them. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again from Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we are going to open up this box that I just got back from CBCS and go over the books and the grades and figure out why I decided to go with CBCS on these books instead of going with CGC. But before we begin, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys will not miss out on any of my episodes that I put out every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, let's get into the books. All right, guys, so let's get into this box right here. Like I said, I got this back from CBCS, and I sent this out probably not more than a month ago. So their turnaround time has been pretty good. From everything I was understanding, it was a good turnaround time. And this is my first experience with CBCS in quite a while. So I was excited to get these books back in. And full disclosure, I do know what the grades are. I mistakenly got onto the site to see where the order was, what the status was, and I completely saw the grades on all three of these books. But we're going to go over them, and I'm going to try to give you a little bit more information because knowing the grades already, I know what the values of these are, and so I'm going to go over that, and we'll give you those values as we go along in each one of these books. So, and I will explain a little bit why I'm going with CBCS on this order. Trust me, guys. Let me get into the box. We'll explain all of that. But got the knife. Let's just go ahead and open up this box. Tell you one thing. It is not. I mean, it's a nice sturdy box. It came well packaged and everything. It's just not as pretty as getting those fragile boxes back from CGC. But it looks like it came safe and sound. Just get into this. I may fast forward depending on how long this takes me, so just be patient, give me a moment to get into the box. Alright, here are the books. Everything's wrapped up in nice bubble wrap. There was lots of paper wrapping inside the box there. As you can see, got lots of paper in there, making sure that it was safe and sound. It looks pretty good. Give me another sec. Let me cut into this bubble wrap. Whew, that was exhausting trying to get into that. They taped up that bubble wrap so much. Like I said, hopefully I would have just fast forwarded all that. It was a ton of noise, but I've got the books right here, and like I said, I know what the grades are. So there's no secret. They're not going to have me having some surprised look, and you're not going to see my disappointment. You're not going to see my excitement. We'll just go through them, and we'll go through these, and it's going to become apparent immediately why I sent these books to CBCS instead of CGC, and that's one of the things, that's what I want to talk about today. So let's just get into it right here. We'll start with the first book. It is X-Men, number 142, Days of Future Past, with Cliff Claremont and John Byrne. And there you go. As you can see, I got a 9.4 on that. Now, I'll tell you, I was slightly disappointed on it, but there was a tick over here that definitely was color breaking. And even though I thought it could have gotten that 9.6, 9.4 is not bad on this. But as you can see, it's a yellow label. And this is why. This right here alone is why I sent this book and the other two books to CBCS. They offer signature verification, meaning they don't have to witness a signature to verify that signature. They're part of Beckett. This is what they do. And I don't know why CBCS doesn't lean into this. This is their number one calling attribute, if you ask me. I mean, I'm not going to send this book to CGC. You're going to get a qualified grade, a green label. I believe that's right, green label. And I don't want that. I don't want that green label. And it hurts the value. You know, there's books I will keep for my PC, and there's books I'll do this for resale. And so you're left with this only choice. If you really are interested in a resale option on this, go to CBCS. And We'll talk about the prices a little bit in here in a second, but let's just examine the book. As you can see, it's a 9.4, but look a little closer, guys, and what you will see on here, there are, sorry about the monitor, there are 2 signatures on there, and got Chris Claremont up there at the top, and John Byrne right there. Now, let me do a little reading here. Let me make sure, because one thing I didn't check was that they actually verified that it was their autograph. And I'm reading it right now. Verified signatures. Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Whew. Another relief, because, see, I bought this book at a little show here in the Baltimore area probably 6-7 months ago. And the dealer had some really nice books, but he had this book, and it was already signed by John Byrne, and it was a little more expensive than if it had been unsigned. But I thought the book was in really good shape, and I was interested in getting this book and taking it to Baltimore Comic Con and getting Chris Claremont to sign. Actually, did I get? Yeah, I guess I got him there back in September, and then so you can tell it's a little bit more than a month, or around a month to get this book signed at the Baltimore Comic Con, and then get it submitted into CBCS, and then get it back. So the turnaround, like I said, was really good. And I was super happy that this John Byrne autograph came back completely fine, because I recognized it. I've gotten John Byrne in person many, many years ago, but I recognized a John Byrne autograph. And so I took the chance on this, and I got the Chris Claremont, of course, myself, I said, at the con, and I submitted it right after that, and that was in the early middle of September. So, and this is, when you're watching this video, it's around October 15th. So, well, as I'm filming the video, it's around October 15th. When you watch this, it's going to be another week or 2 later. But that's a pretty good turnaround and all. And again, I thought this could have gotten a 9.6, but I'm not disappointed in 9.4, especially with having both signatures of the key creators on there. That right there is outstanding. And as I start to give you prices, one of the things I'm going to have to qualify this on is I couldn't find a comp with John Byrne's signature on there for this. So what I'm going to end up giving you is prices that I've been finding with this grade for CBCS and CGC. And I'll talk about that in a second too. And with only the Chris Claremont signature. So let's just start with it here. This right here was, let's just start with the little information. This is from February 1981. This book, of course, it's, as I said before, the second part of the Days of Future Past storyline that they even turned into one of the X-Men movies, of course. Towards the very end of the John Byrne run, and with the collaboration with Claremont on the X-Men. What I could find on this was a little surprising. 9.4 with a Claremont signature just recently sold for only $73. I thought that was outrageous. It's almost like the price on a 9.4, and it was CBCS, devalued the book a little bit. That's my first gut instinct on that. Now, a CGC 9.4 with Claremont signature came back at $170. That's a lot better, although it's a lot lower than I expected. If you were trying to write just a regular blue label CGC, for example, of this as a 9.4, it would go for about $114. Again, I think that's all a little low, but again, we've talked about the market being down. What I could find live right now, if you tried to buy this on eBay right now, and again, I'm not finding it with John Byrne. I'm only finding it with Chris Claremont. About the lowest I see available is around the $300 mark. Of course, that's the asking price. That's not a final price that somebody has paid or anything. So you can see that this is not a super valuable book if it's just with Chris Claremont. But with that John Byrne signature, I honestly have no idea what I would ask for something like this. 9.4 and 9.6 would take it to another level, but we're only at a 9.4. Plus, we are CBCS. And again, in this market, and as I said at the very beginning, CGC is king of the grading. But CBCS, this is really their main calling card, is to verify these signatures. And otherwise, you're going to get a green label from CGC. So the way I look at it is, I don't mind having this from CBCS. I know the value of that because of not getting that green label. So I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to discount this if I try to sell this because it's CBCS. I'm going to I'm going to value this just like it was CGC, because in my opinion, it is just as good as CGC at this point. So I don't know. I would probably put a bigger price tag on this with the John Byrne. I don't know how many of those are out there. I don't know. I might put a listing price of $500 at this point. That's just an estimate. You guys definitely just leave me a comment. Let me know, what do you think this would be worth with both of these signatures, especially the John Byrne autograph. I'd be really curious to see. But 9.4 wasn't bad on this. Of course, I always want better. But as you saw in my last video, when you've got some of those X-Men books that were from CGC with Chris Claremont's, I mean, you get a 9.8 on a issue 133. That's big time right there. Those are really good books. Of course, those are all witnessed by CGC. But in this case, CBCS is just as good. All right. Let's move on to another big X-Men book. And this is one that I bought it already signed, so I didn't have to take it to Baltimore Comic Con, but it also has Chris Claremont's autograph. And I bought it with his autograph already on there. And as you can see, it is a 7.5. I kind of disagree with that. I had hoped it was in that 8 to 8.5 range. What I've noticed with CBCS is that they are a little bit harsher on the grades, especially some of the older books like this. But let's take a quick look at this. Verified signature, Chris Claremont. Now, I bought this off of eBay, and they had it listed as a very fine book anyway, but they didn't really go into it with the signature on there. And I recognize that as a Chris Claremont signature. And I went ahead and took a chance on it, and I thought the book was definitely would grade out a little bit better than that. But let's go off of it. We got a 7.5 on an X-Men 101. Of course, everybody knows this is one of the big X-Men books, the first appearance of Phoenix, and can be a really expensive book in the higher grades, of course. So, October 1976, first appearance of Phoenix. CBCS, what I could find, 7.5 signed. I can't find anything since 2019. And those prices, I'm not even going to put those on here because it's pre-pandemic and pre-boom. The market has changed a lot, so I cannot find a comp with CBCS. I can find a CGC signed one with Claremont on there for $465. And honestly, I thought that would be a little bit more. Because a 7.5 blue label CGC, now non-signed, is available right now for about $459. So, I don't know. I think it's more valuable than $465. I would put a price tag on this. I would start this at the lowest. I probably would put this out as probably 500, but I would think, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think I should ask for something like this? I mean, you guys let me know. Again, leave me a comment in the comment section, but maybe this is a listing price of $650, $600, something like that. And just let's see what kind of best offers come in. I already own a 7.5 blue label, so this is a book that I wouldn't mind parting with. That's, I grew up with X-Men, but I had stopped reading after Giant Size X-Men 1 and issues 4 and 95. I didn't really pick up the X-Men again until they were fighting Arcade for a second time in issue 120, I want to say 123. So I missed a couple years of X-Men books, so I skipped right over this. I never had this. So it's not like it's a childhood favorite of mine or anything like that. And I'm pretty happy having the blue label 7.5. But guys, if you're ever interested in these things, I'll repeat myself at the end of the video, but if you're ever interested in anything, just reach out and we can talk about this. But right now, I'm going to put a price tag on this, about $600, and we'll see where that goes. I may be undervalued. I may be a little bit overvalued. I'll have to check out and see what a signed 8.0 goes for, what a signed 7.0 goes for, and see where that middle ground is on something like that. But otherwise, not bad. Again, I'm disappointed on the 7.5. but it is what it is. All right, and then the last book right here is a book that I have had in my collection for many years, and I got it signed by the creator when he came to visit at the Baltimore Comic-Con. I mean, it seems like a million years ago, but it's probably, I want to say, a good 12 to 15 years ago at this point. And I'm talking about Todd McFarland. He made one appearance. He's only made one appearance at the Baltimore Comic-Con. And I remember that day because they were advertising the heck out of that show and telling people, come meet Todd McFarland, come get a signature. And I got there, I was 2 hours ahead of the line, and that was before I even thought about those days of buying a VIP pass to try to get in early. I was show up a couple hours early, get in line, be towards the front of the line, get in line for McFarland. And as soon as I walked in there, or walked to the convention center here in Baltimore, I'd already heard the buzz. You could hear it in the air. Oh, yeah, all the tickets are already gone. And I'm like, well, how are the tickets already gone? The doors are not even open at this point. And that was the first time that I realized that, well, you're not on the inside. You don't have the inner ear of anybody. You're not getting any special favors. And I was pretty pissed at that point because you're literally advertising for something that you can't give at that point. Baltimore Comic-Con, I've had my complaints. They do a really good job, but I have had my complaints over the years. And part of that is I think a lot of times it can be amateur hour. They're learning as they go along, and every year things change a little bit and they learn a little bit more. And I think that the way they put that out there was very misleading. And I remember just being pissed, and I walk in the door and, well, I'm not going to McFarland's line. There's no tickets left. So I just kind of resigned myself, and I'm like, well, who's next on the list? So I headed off, and I remember I was heading towards the Howard Chaykin table, and I got there, and he's not there at 10 o'clock. So when the doors open, and I kind of put my stuff down. I was reevaluating my course for the day, who was going to get things signed, and what did I do? What did I hear? Image, who was actually in attendance at Baltimore Comic-Con that year as a publisher, they had announced over the intercom that they had additional tickets for Todd McFarland. And I go running to the table, and I ended up snagging one of those tickets. It was good for, you could get two things signed. And luckily, I got through the line later in the day, so I was able to get two things signed. And what do I want to get signed by Todd McFarland? Well, guys, if you watch this channel, you know what I was going to get signed. It's the same things that I ended up sending in to his signing at CGC. One was the Spider-Man number one, the silver copy, not the gold or not the regular cover from the early 90s, but this one right here, Spawn number one. And as you can see, I got a beautiful 9.8 on that. And you got Todd McFarland's signature right down here. And it is a full Todd on there. Now, for the CGC this last year, when he did the signing, I sent in another copy of this, and I ended up getting a 9.6, which was disappointing, but he also just did the T. McFarland. So this is a book I've had in my collection for many years, and obviously I took real good care of it. And I remember I had this book. I'd already cleaned and pressed this book. I've got it set aside with a handful of other books that if CBCS was ever going to do a sale, and they do specials all the time, where you can get 30% off of the signature verification. And I will send in books like these, like the ones you saw here, especially the X-Men book. I will send these in because there's multiple signatures on there. You got to pay for each signature verification, so save a little bit of money. But so I knew I wanted to send in those two X-Men books. But I had this ready too, and I said, well, you know what? I want to go ahead and get this done. I'm glad I did. I got that 9.8. This is really nice. Yes, it's not CBCS. I'm sorry, CGC. It doesn't have the nice Spawn McFarland logo up here in the label. No, we don't have that. But it's still a 9.8. Let me give you a little bit of information on this. CBCS signed 9.8s. I saw for about $400. They got sold. It was the best offer, so it wasn't $400. It was definitely a little bit less, but I don't know what that exact price was. 9.8 CGC did sell for $420. Now, these are recent sales on eBay mostly. And what I looked up on eBay for current listings to see what was also available, lowest I could find was a CGC at $425. Now, this one's not for sale. This one's definitely for my PC. But if I was going to sell this right now, I would probably, I don't know, it depends on how motivated I am, but I don't really want to sell it. But if I was going to sell it, I would probably put it in there for $450 and with the best offer, and try not to accept anything under $400 for this. So overall, this is a pretty good haul right here. Values, whether you agree or disagree that CBCS is not as valuable as CGC, I will only disagree in these cases where they have verified a signature. And I'm going to value these like they are CGC. In my mind, these are comparable. It shouldn't matter because, hey, you've got that witness. I keep saying that. The verified signature, it's on there. That's the thing that really drives the value here for me on these. But I'm super happy with this. But I guess I'd be remiss if as I'm sitting here doing this video, if I didn't talk about the other thing that's going on with CBCS these days. Now, by the time you see this video, it's already going to be old news. It's breaking. In fact, only hours before I filmed this, CBCS put out an email, an e-blast, a press statement that they are offering new labels. And I'm going to I'll take a few screenshots. I'll put some labels up here so you can see some of the new things that they're offering. They look pretty good. And my opinion is it's definitely a step in the right direction. But my question is, and you guys can let me know on this too, what do you think? Hey, take a look at the labels. Let me know what you think. I don't think it's enough to put them on par with CGC just because you updated your labels. Everybody screamed that they wanted CBCS to update these labels. You can see this. This is very plain up here. And the new ones are definitely more dynamic. But it's going to be curious. Is it really going to add any real value, or are people going to jump out there and all of a sudden, no, we got to get CBCS. No, they're better than CGC now. I don't know. I sort of doubt it. I think that's just the way things are going to be. They're going to be a second place grading company. They're still legitimate. The grading is really good. The cases are really good. But with people reselling, the value is in CGC. It's just, you can disagree with me, but there's been plenty of other YouTubers that go out there and they talk about this, and some of them have actually done studies and comps on this. I mean, you can literally watch two books, same grade, go in Heritage Auction in one night, and one is 20 to 35% less. It sells for less than the CGC. So there's enough evidence out there, whether it's hard evidence or it's I don't know. You disagree with me if you want, but that's just the way the market is. I don't think the label's going to put them I think it definitely will get them closer to CGC. I just don't think they're going to I don't think it's going to make enough difference where people are going to be mass changing over to CBCS just because of the label. Anyway, my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section about the labels. Let me know in the comment section what you think about these books. And again, if you're ever interested in anything I have on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on my Instagram account. You can also see what I currently have for sale on my eBay store and on my Sortbox page by checking some of the links in the description on this video down below. But guys, that is it. I'm out of here. I'm super happy pretty much with today's grades. Super happy with this. Kind of happy with that 9.4 on the 142. Not as happy with the grade on the X-Men 101, but you know what? They did verify every one of these signatures, and I'm super happy about that. So mission accomplished with that, and I will look forward to sending more of my signed books into CBCS at a future date. I'm just going to have to wait for another sale because, well, that's just the way to do things sometimes for me. It's like, let's wait for the sale and take advantage of that. So guys, that is it. I'm out of here, and hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you for the next one. And remember, guys, every comic has a story.